To another edition of Good Karma Wrestling. I'm Gabe Neitzel from ESPN Milwaukee. With me, as always, we have from ESPN West Palm, Brian Rowitz, and you can catch him on ESPN 1000 in Chicago, Jonathan Hood. There are a lot of things that have happened in the WWE in really the past 24 hours, the past week as a whole. So to try to encapsulate it all the best that we can, we're going to start this week with a very simple question. Is WWE in a better spot today than they were 365 days ago? Yes, Roman Reigns was still your champion. Yes, Gunther was still your intercontinental champion. But is WWE in a better spot today than they were a year ago?
I would say that they are not as far as the in-ring, because it's a double-edged sword. For us as viewers, in-ring, it was Triple H for a little bit, and then Vince McMahon stuck his beak back into creative. And you could tell, even based on Monday Night Raw, if you ever see a little man versus big man match, that's Vince McMahon writing that. We saw 2 of those on Monday Night Raw. Now, it's not like to say that Vince is washed and can't do anything, but it just is his old philosophy continues to be in the creative business. When Triple H was running things, we liked it because it felt different. And there's some things that Triple H didn't do well also for his time that it was really him. But I just think in ring, I think it's been fine. It's been steady. Now, as far as business is concerned, of course, we know from a business standpoint, bro, everything's going well. They have full autonomy on what they want to do with their television. You know, they can put it in different places. This whole deal with TKO means more money for Vince and more money for the WWE. And so from that standpoint, that's great. The in-ring is kind of flat, quite frankly. So I think you're kind of standing still. 365 to today, I think you're standing still in some spots.
See, I think you need to look at both sides of it. I think from a business perspective, yeah, they're doing great. There's a TV deal. SmackDown's going to USA. They made a bunch of money off of that. They'll make a bunch of money off of Raw. So from the top, from the Vince McMahon to the world, yeah, business is booming. From our standpoint as wrestling fans, it feels like it's a step back. I think back to SummerSlam of last year and how excited the 3 of us were about how fresh it was. And they did, the ring spot and everything with Brock and Roman, which had become sort of tired, but they had new life in that feud even, which I didn't think was possible. And now I'm at the point where I feel like I was before Triple H took over, where it's like, do I want to watch 3 hours of Raw? I'm going to hit the fast forward button a lot. And SmackDown has its highlights, but it's sort of directionless. And we're seeing rematches over and over again. So a year ago, I think WWE was in a great spot. I don't feel that way anymore with them.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the releases today. And look, most of the people that were released, I mean, we haven't seen on television in God knows how long, right? When was the last time we saw Emma on TV?
Random backstages here and there, maybe.
Right. I can't tell you the last time I saw Dolph Ziggler. Honestly, I thought Aaliyah was already released. That's how long it's been since we've seen her on television, right?
Mustafa Ali did have a North American title match next Saturday. Not sure how they're going to work their way out of that one.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Ali had been, at least featured on television, but I can understand if you release wrestlers, like we've had the conversation with AEW when we were down for StarCast, and we saw, why am I blanking on the name of who we saw, whose contract just came to an end at StarCast from AEW. Sonny Kiss, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if your contract comes to an end and you kind of take a look at the roster and you go, oh, we're full, whatever. These things happen everywhere. But if you're releasing everyone today that you are for budget cuts, no, you can't sell me that BS because you're announcing this new big TV deal for SmackDown. You're presumably going to get even more for Monday Night Raw. So your TV revenues are up. Your revenues elsewhere with TKO Holdings, though, that's supposed to bring everything up. So I don't understand why you're releasing these people. I understand some of the, and not that it doesn't suck for those people, but I understand some of the letting go of some people behind the scenes, more people that obviously we don't know, by just being wrestling fans, because when you merge with another company, there's going to be overlap in jobs. And, I'm sure UFC had to let go, or, there's some overlap there. So I'm sure both sides lost some pretty good people because, well, you're now one company. You don't need X amount of accountants, and you don't need X amount of, other backstage or office people.
You're cutting the duplicity in that spot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, but I guess just the optics of, hey, we've got this great new SmackDown TV deal. We're making more money, and saying deuces to a bunch of your roster. Like, it's just always a bad look. And look, I mean, we're not going to focus on it any other day than today. And we're not going to miss a lot of these people because, as I mentioned, they're not going to be on television. It stinks for them, and it just doesn't sit right with me. And it's been a while since we've had one of these days in WWE,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's been a while since we have these mass layoffs on the talent side. So that makes me not hopeful for the future. And as far as this question goes, if I'm not sitting here feeling optimistic about the future, then a year ago I was. So I would say WWE is not in a better spot than they were a year ago in my mind.
We should go through the names of those that have been released as far as our recording here. Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, Elias, Emma, Mustafa Ali, Rick Boogs, Aaliyah, and Top Dollar. And there'll be some NXT releases.
Riddick
We'll
Moss
keep
as
our
well.
eyes on that. And Riddick Moss as well. Yeah. So, okay. So it's interesting to me every time we go through this, when there's releases, when you see how much money WWE is making. Like, you don't have to cut anybody. We've said this before on the show, but it needs to be said again. You don't have to cut anybody. You could actually be able to find creative on with these people to be able to do something on Raw, SmackDown, main event, NXT, whatever, right? You could find something. But I think that what's interesting to me, guys, when we go through that list, the Emmas, the Rick Boogs, the Aaliyahs, the Top Dollars, the people like that. You know what stands out to me about that? Those are Triple H hires. You notice that? Like, some of those are, hey, we need to fill out the roster. We need someone quality like Emma to be able to step in there. Hey, you're not going to be WWE champion, but we just need to be able to fill out for the house shows someone that could be able to fill out our roster. But very interesting. The people that Triple H brought in, Vince says, no, I told you, damn it, get rid of them. So they got fired twice in this company. That's bullshit. That should not happen, guys. That's not right, especially when you're making money hand over fist. You're part of TKO.
Right.
You got new TV. You don't have to fire anybody when you're making money like this.
And to Roach's point about Raw, like, I mean, cut some replays and put some of these people on television. Right. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you cut down all the replays and the times they said earlier tonight on Raw, like, you could have a tag team match. You could have another match. You could have more creative for these people. Like, I mean, they actually had a direction for Rick Boogs and Elias once upon a time. I still can't believe they couldn't find anything for Emma / Tennille Dashwood. Like, she's so good. She is so talented, and we can't come up with literally anything for her. Like, we're just a lot, you know.
Though, like, it's Vince McMahon we're talking about, and while he might not be the top of the food chain anymore, we know he's got power and influence there. The TV deal announced that he's $1.4 billion. They're reporting profits every single quarter. They're taking Saudi Arabia money. They don't care. Like, they just move on. They know people are still going to show up. They know that the casual fan, the family, say, oh, WWE, I know them. I'm going to go see them. And they don't even notice stuff like this. Like, it does not matter to them.
It's so unfortunate, though. Emma's a perfect example. Emma's like, oh, my God, there's going to be a pay-per-view in Australia. Oh, I just got cut.
20 minutes later.
It was right there for her, by the way.
Yes.
In Australia, next year, they're going to have a big event. She's from Australia. It would have been great. No, not going to happen now.
Yeah.
Not going to happen now.
Within a 20-minute span, she tweeted and then was gone.
Yeah, it could have been Emma against Mommy at the top of the card, right?
Yeah, you could have easily
at the top of the card from Judgment Day. Not happening now.
Easily, you could have pulled that off. And here's the thing about the TV deal that they announced: $1.4 billion is great. Monetarily, it's great. I have had concerns about other sports leagues, kind of, and some of the TV deals that they have. For example, I'm questioning the NFL putting a playoff game on Peacock, like exclusively on Peacock. Like, the great thing about the NFL, and one of the reasons the NFL is king in this country, is because the access level to the NFL and consuming their product is so easy. It is so easy. It's tougher in the world of basketball, in the world of baseball, because, well, I mean, yes, there's more games, But then you bring in the Bally Sportses of the world, and they're on like baseball games, like baseball playoff games are going to be on MLB Network and TBS and ESPN, and like they're going to be on all these different networks, and you're going to go, oh crap, what? It's going to take you a while to kind of find this, right? It takes it a while. The entry the barrier of entry, and people are willing to give up on things super easily. Oh, I can't find it. I'll watch something else because you have so many other options. So in some of the stuff I've read today about the future of Monday Night Raw, your flagship show, that they're willing to move it off of Mondays, which I get because you're going up against the NFL, 18 weeks out of the year, and that's tough. And the other thing was, and maybe they'd be open to a streamer. I think that's a mistake. SmackDown right now is awesome because it's on Fox. Like it legitimizes your product because you're on Fox. You're on one of the big broadcast networks. You don't need cable. You don't need anything. All you need is a pair of bunny ears, and you can watch Friday Night SmackDown every week. If you put it on a streamer, like you're now making the process to watch your product that much more difficult. And you want to make it today easy. And I understand streaming is the way we're going, but I just don't. I think that's a mistake. I think streaming is easy for things on demand, right? Like if you want to watch a series that's out, whatever, on Netflix, and like Wrestlers. Like Wrestlers is a perfect example, the story of OVW that's on Netflix right now. But if you want to watch live sports, like how many times has somebody had their favorite baseball team play on Apple TV Plus on a Friday night this year and went, I can skip it. Like in my mind, if you end up on Amazon or Apple TV Plus or ESPN Plus, you're doing yourself a disservice with your flagship show because it's going to be harder for people to consume your product on a week-to-week basis.
I would agree with that. However, Good Karma is one of those industry leaders as far as looking at the future, as you well know, Gabe, as that we look in the future of streaming over the traditional way to be able to consume content. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I would say that when you see what the WWE is doing, if Amazon says, I want Monday Night Raw for 3 hours, and we're going to pay more than what NBC Universal was going to pay for it, Vince is going to go for it, right? I mean, because he goes by the almighty dollar. You are cutting off a major part of your audience, though, and here's how I know. Thursday Night Football is a perfect example. I see those numbers. Mm-hmm. I think the last game they had was 12 million. That's not what you get on Fox or CBS or NBC. Those numbers are high. Those are big moon landing numbers on the other networks. For Amazon, for Al and Herb Street, it's not as many people. They think they're doing something. They're growing, but still, it's a large a percentage of people that are not watching because it's on Amazon, and people are not willing to pay an extra tier for that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, on a Thursday night, like, I have Prime, but, like, to go to a different app and do this and that, like, if it's not my team, there's plenty of time, they're like, I'm good. Like, I don't need to watch that game. I could see myself doing that on a Monday night. Like, if it's a subscription I didn't have, like, would you pay extra to watch Raw every week?
No. No. You crazy?
SmackDown's the leader anyway for the last 5 years. SmackDown's been a better show for 5 years at least.
I mean, other than it being 2 hours, it's the premier show of WWE because, again, I go back to it's on Fox. Like, the one thing that network television still has going for it, is, again, live sports. People want to consume those live events live as they happen. And maybe that's what Amazon's hoping to drive more subscribers, or Apple TV Plus, whoever ends up with Monday Night Raw. But either way, I just don't think that NBC already has the deal, right? So I don't see, and presumably Fox isn't going to pay more for Raw if they didn't want to pay more for SmackDown. So we're down to ABC and CBS. CBS is the station for old people, so I don't see them spending money on WWE. Well, I mean, have you seen the numbers for NCIS? They do great 60 plus.
Yeah, but when the Chargers are down 7 and it's no interception, you can always depend on 60 minutes after that.
Except on the West Coast.
Since Phillip Rivers was the quarterback.
Except on the West Coast.
So long, everybody. That's one of my big jokes of, like, with Phillip Rivers was.
Oh God!
It was like a movie, right? He'd be down 10. They cut it to 7, and it's like, okay, 45 seconds left, and Rivers throws an interception, and now to 60 minutes, except on the West Coast. So long, everybody.
But yeah, so I don't see WWE being on network television. I guess unless the CW does something crazy, like which remains to be a possibility. But I don't see the CW spending the type of money, or even having the type of money that the WWE is looking to obtain for the rights for their flagship show.
No, so they've already been on CW. That's SmackDown's already been on CW years ago. Yeah.
UPN. Shout out to UPN.
WB.
All of it.
But would that be the wake-up call to them? Because they don't have to face that anymore. Like, they don't have suffering pay-per-view buys because everyone has, a $10 a month Peacock account, so you just watch pay-per-views. Like, you're getting Raw for free. Obviously there's cord cutters and things like that. But would that be the wake-up call saying, hey, we're going to Prime? The majority of the audience goes, well, I don't want to spend $10 a month to watch Judgment Day versus Cody and Sammy for 40th month in a row. Like, could that be a wake-up call?
No, because they're getting the money regardless. Like, the WWE has made the decision that what they care about the most, and look, they're a business, they're a publicly traded company. I get it. I understand why. I'm not dumb, but it's disappointing as a wrestling fan, but all they care about is getting that money. They don't care about the ease of access.
Yeah, at the same time, though, okay, so if there is no more Monday Night Raw and it moves to a different night, a different network, this is where AEW can be able to eat. Like, they can go right to Monday night and be able to fill that bill. Same audience, same numbers, no. But the point is, though, Monday Night Wrestling has been hot for a long, long time, going back to the early 90s. And so if I'm
but the NFL wasn't what it was today back then.
No, but you got to fill that bill. You got to get in. And again, it's 17 weeks. It's the fall. You're not going to win anyway. But what about the other months? What about January through August? You still have to be able to put some programming out there, especially as television changes. I mean, so. Sure. It's a really long conversation, guys. But what I guess my bottom line is that things are changing. Where the only thing that's holding up CBS, NBC, ABC, and Fox is live sports. What we do every day. It's the only thing that's holding up. There is no one show that says, "Well, you got to watch this episode of MASH. Got to watch this Dallas boy. You got to." I mean, it's not. You got to watch Who's the Boss, Mona, Jonathan. Where are you guys? It's not. You're not watching Tony Danza anymore. So I just think that. This is actually going from the SmackDown side of things, based on everything we read, they're going to stay in the NBC Universal family, and they're going to be on USA.
Yeah.
Raw, if it's on Amazon, I have Amazon Prime, but I don't think I can spend 3 hours every single week because I can't. Because once you get locked in on Amazon Prime, you can't click on anything else. You're stuck on that thing for 3 hours. Like the Thursday Night Football package. You're used to clicking, and it's like, I had to go in and out of it to get back into the game. It's so weird. So, but bro, you shake your head. But if you are AEW, you have an open night because Saturday nights is good, but Monday nights is better.
No, I agree with
that.
Yeah,
I would go Monday and Wednesday versus Wednesday and Saturday. I'd move Collision to Monday night.
I'd be fine with that. That makes more sense.
Yeah. There's an open night.
Because you keep your flagship show. Like, you're telling me, I mean, because again, you're running we're seeing the same issues with the numbers or whatever. And clearly they knew this going in, right? Like, I can't, the people that complain a lot, like, look at these terrible numbers for Collision. Well, you're telling me these smart television executives didn't factor in that they're going up against college football? They're fine with whatever the number is, right? Like, again, we've been over this. Yes. They don't care. They're not like, oh my God, I can't believe we're not doing great numbers against college football. What is like nobody's doing that, right? Like, Warner Brothers Discovery knew what they were getting themselves into, and they decided to open up a Saturday night show. But I think they would do much better on Monday nights in terms of drawing an audience and growing their business and growing as a company than they would on Saturday nights.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
And plus, that makes it easier for when you want to do pay-per-views. You don't have to move Collision to Friday nights.
That's right.
All right, a lot going on there, and I'm sure there's plenty more that's going to unfold in the WWE landscape going forward. Again, because this is only one half of it. And, oh, by the way, they're also going to do 4 primetime specials on NBC, on big NBC, as part of this deal for SmackDown. But we'll monitor the situation, and certainly we'll talk about it whenever we can here on GKW, wherever Monday Night Raw lands. Whew. All right, nothing else really is going to be as important, I think, as that, but we still have 3 other important stories we want to talk about in the world of professional wrestling. maybe most of it in ring and some of the things that have happened on television. We like to call it the 3 count. Brian, what do we got at number 1?
Well, it was pretty important Friday night. A surprise return on SmackDown of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. First time in WWE since 2019. First time in 10 years on SmackDown. The Rock also revealing with Pat McAfee that he was set to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. That fell through. He said he's open to WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. So, guys, what would you rather see at Mania? Cody versus Roman or Rock versus Roman?
Yeah, Rock versus Roman. Let's move on.
But the story. You gotta finish it.
It's not even close. It's not even close. Like, did you see? So, I was disappointed that I could not watch SmackDown live.
Yep.
And I Friday night responsibilities at ESPN Milwaukee, so I had to see the clips. But when I went back and watched it, I came home and I watched it right away. And like once I saw Pat McAfee come out, like you kind of had, if you were in the arena, my guess is you had an anticipation. Because if you were paying attention to the media landscape at all on Friday, you saw that The Rock was in the same place that Pat McAfee was an hour away from Denver on Friday, because The Rock was making his rounds, right? He was on First Take. He was on with McAfee. And there's no way Dwayne, one of the smartest marketing human beings on this planet, was going to allow Pat McAfee to show up on SmackDown and him not be there. That being said, holy shit, did those people lose their minds? Understandably so. Like, you think you think, and they had some energy for Cena when Cena came out later.
Sure.
But like, The Rock and Stone Cold are like the last 2 true superstars of professional wrestling.
Over 100 million views on their social media. So doing quite well in the few days since.
Yeah, so do I want to see a retread of last year's Mania that we were all kind of, I mean, it was good, but it didn't live up maybe to the hype? Or do we want to see something different with Rock Roman? I'm all in on The Rock, just because I want to see more pops like that.
Yeah, Cody has a long time to finish the story. The story doesn't have to be a quick book. It doesn't have to be a thin book. The story could be way down the line.
War and Peace.
Yeah, I mean, so everybody wants to see Rock versus Roman, guys. That's what you want to see.
Yep.
Like, everybody wants to see that. Because Rock is a star and Roman is a star, people want to see that. That's no shade at Cody. Absolutely not. I had several friends that were there in Denver. I got friends like all over the country just to go to events, just in case. But no, I had a friend of mine
strategically placed in wrestling markets across the country.
That's right. I just have friends just in certain arenas around the country. I just happened to have a friend of mine that was JB that was in Denver, and I texted him. He was in the arena. I said, "What's the atmosphere like?" He goes, "It is bananas." He goes, "I can't hear myself think." As soon as The Rock came out, he goes, "I haven't seen anything like that." And God bless you, Denver, that you're able to be spoiled. You get Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, and the whole hype over Colorado. And you get SmackDown in Denver. And again, it's SmackDown in Denver. It's a medium-sized market. You're not supposed to be able to get like big stuff that you get in LA, New York, Chicago, Miami, Dallas. No, you get it in Denver. And they got spoiled, man. They got The Rock. It's unbelievable. He said, "I couldn't hear myself think." He said the ovation was just amazing. And also LA Knight was a close second, he said, that it was on SmackDown as well. So I was just happy. And The Rock, he should be used to this, but he put on social media, like, I guess he hadn't been cheered like that in a while. He hadn't felt goosebumps like that in a while, which tells me that he's itching to get back, and hopefully that'll be the case at WrestleMania.
How is that not addicting? How is it not addicting?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, for them to not spoil that beforehand, like, yeah, to your point, Gabe, I remember seeing a tweet like, "Oh, The Rock's on McAfee, it's where SmackDown is today." And like, I honestly thought it was a typo. Like, I had no idea where SmackDown was that night. So I thought someone was just aggregating and just assuming wrestling was in town and not realizing The Rock wasn't part of it.
It's like 45 minutes to an hour away, right? Like, so if they didn't show up, it wouldn't have been a big deal, right? Because again, McAfee is one of the most busy people in all of media.
Right.
But once McAfee showed up, like if I was in that arena, I don't know, Hood, did you have a chance to watch it live? I don't know if you were watching it live on Friday
I went out afterwards, but I did watch it live 7 to 9. It was amazing.
When McAfee came out, did you have an inkling that maybe Dwayne was going to follow?
I did not. I just thought it was like McAfee was in town for College Game Day, and because Michael Cole loves him, oh, there he goes. There's Pat McAfee. I had no idea, didn't read anything about it. He just came out of nowhere. So no, I had no inkling that Rock or anyone else would show up.
But before his music hit, you knew he was coming out, right? Because that was the biggest get. Because he's like, "This is the People's Show," and do you know what that means? Like there was like a 3-second pause where
right
I would have
line.
Yes.
Yeah.
After that line, if I'm in the arena, like I'm already going nuts. Like you just gave it away. Like you just gave it away. I am hearing The Rock's music.
Just put it this way: the segment was going nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
I mean, that's it. When I saw it on social, because I agree with you, Gabe, like having other stuff Friday night, like I was spoiled beforehand. I had to do a double take. I was like, wait, like, is that The Rock? Like on SmackDown? Like, it's just so surreal to still see him show up in those situations. And after you see that, after you see the numbers, they're addicted also from a Vince standpoint. This is going to be Mania. Like, sorry, Cody, but it's not going to be Philadelphia. Unless they somehow do night 1, night 2, Roman defending. But it's The Rock's main event if he wants it at this point.
No, like, and again, like, okay, so the knock on Cody is that he's not The Rock. Like, that's not a knock, you know. Like,
sure.
that's like me criticizing Jordan Love for not being Brett Favre here in Wisconsin. Like, okay, like you can still be really good. You're just not, this guy. So it's, that's what I want to see. Like, and Cody is still the biggest babyface day to day for WWE, which is great. But I think even Cody understands if you have a chance at The Rock, like, you have to do it. Like, there's just there's no debate. Like, Rock versus Roman, it's the home run if you can pull it off, especially because we like our round numbers. So the way he hinted, you mentioned it earlier, Brian, about how it kind of fell through at 39. But he also went on to say, well, if we're going to do this, let's make it really special. And we know we like the round numbers, right? So WrestleMania 40, we get that nice round number. Celebrate WrestleMania 40 with The Rock main eventing once again.
I was surprised that he said something like that, saying that like 39 fell through. Because like in that moment, I was like, oh, is he ruining a surprise here? And then ultimately he had a surprise later that night that no one saw coming. But him being so open and, we'll see what happens with the writer's strike. And obviously his schedule will play a big part of that. But like you said, that addiction, like having that feeling on Friday and somehow having self-doubt is still insane. Like, you're The Rock, for God's sake. Like, of course they're going to pop for you. Like, he's going to want it. And for Roman, like, it's something fresh. It's something different. And honestly, like, he's earned this opportunity.
Well, yeah, if you're The Rock, like, I understand having some of those doubts when it comes to maybe the movies you make. Because not every movie he's made has obviously been a home run, right? Like, he's still making good movies. Some of them have been panned critically, whatever. But, like, we just saw Cena come back, man. Like, Cena, the crowd treated Cena a lot differently than they treated you. And they're going crazy for John when he returns. Can you imagine, Dwayne, what happens when you come back? Like, it has to be, my guess is they'll have something. Again, it's been a while since we've seen Dwayne come through that crowd. And to see the crowd reaction, to see the social media numbers, and knowing, as we talked about in the previous segment, Hood, knowing that Vince is back in charge, there's not a number you can throw. And you know what? Maybe some of the releases we're clearing the deck so you can pay Dwayne whatever you have to pay Dwayne. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But at this point, it's going to be a major disappointment if it's not Rock Roman at WrestleMania 40.
I think that he has time to do this. I know that the strike will end at some point in Hollywood. I think that he'll have time to do this now. I think that he's given it probably a long look and start thinking about it. He goes, yeah, that'd be great. Now, the question is who goes over? Like, I want to see the match, but who goes over?
Yeah.
It has to be Roman. It has to be Roman. Rock's been involved in a couple of these, and he did 50-50 with Cena, but Hogan had him go over. He's got to have Roman go over.
Sure.
But does that mean Roman doesn't lose the title at Mania?
Yeah,
eventually?
He can lose it whenever, yeah.
Well,
he can lose it, have him drop it at SummerSlam. I don't care.
It's a doubleheader then. Then Roman beats Rock, and then Cody beats Roman.
Yes. I think that works.
Yeah.
You do it that way, back-to-back nights.
Yeah, it's a doubleheader.
Unless we get something like last night where, somebody gets a concussion. You know, like that's such a risk.
Don't worry about that.
That's such a risk to do a back-to-back, especially because those matches, like The Rock's not going out there for a quick 5-minute match.
Right.
You know, like it's not going to be. If The Rock is coming back to main event WrestleMania, but here's the other thing: Rock ain't main eventing night 1.
Fair.
No.
Rock's not main eventing night 1. Rock is main eventing night 2. He's shutting the whole show down. Like if you're bringing back Dwayne, it ain't gonna be just so he can close out night 1.
So he's not rolling out in match 1. Is that what you're saying? if you smell, he's the first match he's losing. So
Yeah.
the old Brock spot.
The old Brock spot. Not seeing it. Just like we saw Cena this year come out for that first match against Austin Theory. Like, this is telegraphing something.
Yep.
I will say we knocked him a lot, but Theory held his own with The Rock in the ring.
He did. He was in that Punk spot. I don't mean CM Punk, like getting punked spot. That's what happened.
But he served his purpose.
He did not stumble. He stood up there like a man and took it. You knew it was going to be brutal on him. You are, asshole. You are. Like,
that's what they were saying. I couldn't hear because Fox had to cut it all out.
Oh my God! I mean,
can you imagine executive at Fox going, "What the hell are they doing to my network?"
And then they bring it back up in the backstage.
I know.
They're censored again. Like, what are you guys doing?
I know.
It's Dwayne.
I understand, but if Vince is there, he would have been apoplectic. Are you kidding me? like, this is why they've had scripts for years. What are you going to say, pal? Run it over with me. Say it again. All right, good. Do that. I mean, come on, man. That's the first time I watched a SmackDown show, and I thought I was watching AEW Dynamite. Are you kidding me? You are an asshole on SmackDown on Fox?
Uh-huh.
Holy smokes. You can't do that.
In the first hour also, not even late.
Twice. Twice is like, all right, now let's flip it around. Let's have this side of the arena call you an asshole.
I mean, this is not a house show. Do you see these cameras? See that director on the floor? You can't be doing that. I don't care. You are.
Yes, again, it's Rock. Who's going to tell Dwayne no?
That was amazing. That was amazing. Amazing television. It really was. And of course, people were searching all Friday. Someone please give me the international feed. Give me the international feed where they don't bleep stuff out. I love that. Like, here's the one from France. Here's the Spanish announce team. You know, like, okay, thank you. I got the clear version of what they were saying. It's great. Awesome.
Absolutely insane, the reaction The Rock got. And again, no knock on Cody. You're just not Dwayne.
Yeah.
Nobody is. Okay, let me ask you this.
And Cody knows that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have seen Stone Cold more recently, but we also knew it was coming with the way that they built it up for WrestleMania. If the glass shattered instead of if you smell, is it as big or a bigger reaction?
As big, because as you mentioned, the two biggest stars of that era, right?
Yeah, like the surprise factor was a part of it, right?
Yes.
Like the surprise factor played into people losing their minds as if Oprah just gave them a car.
Right. So I would say as big. It's the two biggest pops. It's if your smell and the shattering glass. If it was the gong of the Undertaker, people would be rolling their eyes. Oh no, here he comes. Oh no.
I feel like you get there, but in the moment they react to that noise. I agree.
We've seen enough. We've seen enough. Yeah, even Cena gets that pop. We gotta don't forget about John. Right. He gets that pop.
He doesn't get that pop. He gets a pop. He doesn't get that pop.
When he first came back, he got quite a significant pop though. Good pop.
Like
very good pop.
Sometimes when I want to feel alive, I go back and watch some of these giant pops, and like again. Like CM Punk in Chicago, I had a buddy who was there who said it's the loudest he's literally ever heard in arena.
Agreed.
In Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny, like that was outrageous.
I think
Sami Zayn in Montreal.
I think about that once a week. That Bad Bunny pop. I think about that once a week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's insane. But like these are with those three being some of the biggest pops that I think of, like they're in specific spots, right? Like, oh, it makes sense. Sami Zayn in Montreal, CM Punk in Chicago, Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico, The Rock in Denver.
I know.
You know, like it just hits different because it's a random ass city, but it's The Rock.
Yeah, that's the difference.
What do we got at number 2?
We'd love to Dion to be out there. Go ahead.
That would have been for it. In AEW World, it was Grand Slam last night from Arthur Ashe Stadium. Let's fill in the blank. Grand Slam was blank.
I wanted to like it more than I did. I did not like the main event. I had some issues with the main event. Not with MJF, and I know I waxed poetically, and we talked about it a lot last week, about Samoa Joe going over. Like, I would have loved for Samoa Joe to go over. That's not what I'm disappointed about. I'm disappointed because it became, like, MJF didn't leave that match looking stronger as the champion. No. Like, the title is still cold in his hands. Also, you're just applying different rules for, chokeouts in the match. Like, MJF gets the 1, 2, 3, where Joe just... You tap him once. Oh, I guess he's out. Now the match is over. Like, you're inconsistent within the match itself.
Correct.
That's bad. Like, they're just things you have to clean up in that match. Obviously, you hope Jon Moxley's okay, because that was, the poor ref got booed because I think he knew the match wasn't supposed to end. So Mox doesn't move, but he's like, oh, look, he moved his shoulder. He twitched his shoulder. It's not on the mat. It's not on the mat anymore. So they had to do the spot again. You hope that Mox is okay. There were just some, Guevara and Jericho wasn't as clean as I was hoping it would be. It was fine. The swerve at the end is good. It develops that story further with Sammy going to the Don Callis family, but I wanted to like it more. It wasn't as smooth as I was hoping the entire show would be.
It was good, bro. You asked the question. Grand Slam was. It was good. It was pretty good. And the reason why it wasn't great is because somehow, some way, the main event was less than on that whole card. That's weird, right? Because MJF and Samoa Joe, like, on the surface, I'm with Gabe. I would have liked to see Samoa Joe win the championship, but it just wasn't in the cards because I just thought that it would be his time, but maybe it's not his time. Guess you're not going to change. They changed the number of titles on TV on a non-pay-per-view, but not that heavyweight championship. The Moxley situation, I completely blame not on Ray Phoenix. I blame on Rick Knox, and here's why. The rule is for a referee is if a guy's not going to lift his shoulders, then you call it as a shoot. And Rick Knox had 1, 2, and Moxley wasn't moving, so something was wrong. That's not the finish. Looks like he might have got his shoulder up. And then the problem I also had with Ray Phoenix is, okay, so clearly there's something wrong. You got to know that. And you're going to dump him on his head again?
Right.
Come on, Ray. Like, come on. Like, maybe he doesn't know in the moment. Maybe he should have talked to the official, like, maybe a little eye contact. What's going on here? Because I know I'm not supposed to win tonight. So what's up with this, right? And so he dumps him on his head again. 1, 2, 3. You didn't see Ray trying to get up at that second time, did you? Rick Knox did a horrible job and should be talked to about his officiating because you called as a shoot, got him to get his shoulder up. 1, 2, 3, and they a new champion. I'm happy for Ray because that's your guy for a long time, but just the way it happened was just odd.
Well, the second finisher that he put on him. He made sure there was a lot of space between Mox's head and the ring the second time, because the first one, obviously, I think is what maybe caused the concussion. But
but that's the weird thing. There are multiple clips going around that it might not have been even that moment. Like when Mox is walking out, the cameraman catches him in the face, and then on one of the dives, he hit his head also. So it might not have even been from that finish.
I think that might be true. Yeah, that it might have not been those two spots. But either way. As an official, you're supposed to find out what's going on. If that guy's not getting up, it's 3.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just thought that was strange. I thought that it was a great moment for Eddie. I would have loved to see Eddie in that main event spot. He actually deserved that. He was the first match. And when I found out that Eddie and Claudio was the first match, I go, there's going to be a title change here because that's how that works, right? Ring of Honor is less than anything else in AEW. So that happened. So, and now, of course, the highlight, guys, was Tony Storm.
Yes.
The illustrious Tony Storm. She was fantastic. That
Multiple
open,
shoes.
brother. That Turner classic movie open that she has there with that black and
Oh,
white film.
it's
Holy smokes. But that's
so good.
But as my wife would say, John, you got to find value in the gray. And when she says that, she says, you got to find value in the gray. So you got to be able to do more than what you do. You got to be able to do the extra thing. So Tony Storm found value in the gray in that, okay, I'm a part of this group and I'm not getting over. So I'm just going to change my hairstyle and I'm going to develop my own character and I'm going to go with it. And guess what? A sign right there in New York. Watch out for the shoe. I mean, that's fantastic.
I want to see more of the stuff she did with RJ City, like that they had on Collision on Saturday night. Like
He did tweet they sit down with her again, so we have that to look forward to.
Well, because it said to be continued, right? Like she's complaining about the light interface. This is an interview, that's an interrogation. And complaining about the lamp behind. Like it's just like it's also like it shouldn't be as good as it is, and yet she's making it so damn good. She's making it so good. It's honestly, it's Sami Zayn levels of when Sami was in the when he was in the Bloodline. Like, because the Sami stuff shouldn't have been as good as it was. Like him saying Usi shouldn't have been on a t-shirt, but Sami Zayn got it to be on a t-shirt. Like this stuff shouldn't be this good. And Tony Storm's getting it over. How? I don't know, but it's like I can't get enough. I want to see more.
I agree. And like that's the thing for me, looking at last night, Grand Slam was typical AEW. Like we had some great wrestling matches. We had some fun stories that, especially if you were following the product or following the indies, so like the Eddie story means a little bit more. But then you also have the Great Cloud, like the Mox injury and the Adam Cole injury. Like him running to the ring and jumps off the ramp, and you can see him limping right away. He had to go to the hospital last night. Like there's just always a gray cloud where they try to take those big steps forward, and then something brings them back down. And that's what those injuries were last night.
Well, yeah, what was up with that leap? I know, I understand that was a big ramp, but I mean, you can see him clearly limping around there in that whole situation. It's like, oh my God. I mean, like, that's all you need. Like, if he's seriously injured and you got this whole tag team better than you, Bebe, going on, that's the worst.
Yep. And also from an entertainment standpoint, the Roddy stuff is getting a lot better. Like the hospital scene, like that was fun.
The bed? Like it's the creakiest bed as he's trying to like bring himself up a little bit. Like even Taz had to rip it in on commentary. It's like, what kind of hospital is he in?
They're doing old school 90s vignettes on your ass now, boy. He's in a hospital bed. This is fantastic.
He's helping raise neck awareness. He's doing it good for the community, neck awareness.
Those two things we just talked about that made us laugh, Tony Storm and Roderick Strong. That's not typical AEW. That is how an organization evolves. Jimmy Jacobs, whoever's writing that stuff, that's how an organization evolves, because it just can't be match. Because at some point we have lost track on how many 5-star matches that we've seen, and it's just September, right? At some point it's got to be that Roddy thing's fun, that Tony Storm thing's fun. You know, you've got Prince Nana dancing on the outside where people in New York are dancing with. They get to it now. So it's like, it's little things like that. The wrestling's great, but you got to give me the garnish too around the meat. And that's exactly what they're starting to do now. They didn't do that for years. They're doing it now, though.
No, I mean, they sprinkled it in. About the only thing I can think of that really stood out was obviously Orange Cassidy, like before he became, the Ricky Steamboat of his era. But when he was doing mimosa matches with Jericho, and the Acclaimed with the scissoring, like that's about the only thing that they did. And the Debonair dinner that they did when MJF was briefly with Jericho, like that was funny. Like that was good.
But that was a one-off. Like the Tony and the Roddy stuff are still telling stories.
Yeah.
But you're also getting this comedic, Adam, like you're getting those moments within it.
That's so good. Like I used to be like 3 weeks ago, I was annoyed when I heard Adam, and now they've turned it. Like they've somehow turned him screaming out Adam. Again, tip of the cap to you, Mr. Strong. Like I just gotta, I gotta respect the game.
He was one of those. He was one of those straight ahead wrestlers that would just wrestle, but now it's the most personality we've ever seen. He's never done anything like this in his career. And hats off to him because it's a different gear. I love it.
And again, because we're wrestling fans, so we always look too much into things. I got a little excited when MJF was wearing Mets ring gear because the Mets are so bad. I thought that was telegraphing that he was going to lose.
Yeah, me too.
I got a little excited.
Bills patch, Jets patch, Mets patch, Buffalo Sabres patch. Like what? What is all this? I was hoping, and then Mike Piazza, I think elbow pad too. I think it was number 41. Like, yeah, I saw that. I was hoping that was the time for him to lose, but not yet because they're not done with the story. Him and Adam, if Adam's healthy.
Yeah, but it's a tag match at Wrestle Dream. They announced that last night. They're defending the ROH tag titles at Wrestle Dream.
See, and that's the problem, right? Like, you got to get them off of. You got to get. That's why getting the championship off of them isn't that. You're having a pay-per-view. You need to be defending the championship more often on the damn pay-per-views.
Yep.
Like WWE's got a second one, right? Like, so with Roman taking time off, they can fall back on Seth. So they still have one of their major championships being defended. And you got him tied up in this story. The story's fine. He doesn't need the world championship. Have the world championship do something else and actually have it heat back up. That's what I'm frustrated with AEW.
Yep, and so is Broad's kids. They're also very frustrated about what's going on with AEW.
What do we got at number 3?
All right, we done Eddie Kingston. A feel-good moment last night winning his first world title, winning the ROH title. What else in pro wrestling? Which feel-good stories do you want to see in pro wrestling?
I have spent a lot of time trying to come up, and I just keep coming back to Chad Gable. Like, I want more Chad, and I want Chad to have more success as a singles performer. I want to see this. I want to see him be able to, whether he wins or loses against Gunther here, as they continue to build this feud, whether he ends up going over Gunther and ends up being the new IC champ. But I want to see him continue to have success and continue to climb, because again, and the success story for him is he was put down by his own damn company. Right. He had to be Shorty G. And it started with so much promise with him and Jason Jordan and being these, being this, blue blood tag team. Obviously, then they peel off Jason for a stupid joke that Vince thought was hilarious about apparently Kurt Angle liking African-American women. So wouldn't it be funny if he had a bastard child, huh? You know what I'm saying? So that was stupid. And they kind of split up the tag team, and then Jason got hurt, and now Gable's kind of been wandering, and he's been able to build himself back up with the Alpha Academy. And now they're giving an opportunity to show this guy's really damn good in the ring when you give him that opportunity. So I keep coming back to Chad Gable, and I want to see more and more success with Chad.
I want Cody Rhodes and or LA Knight to finish their story. LA Knight's been a veteran in this ring for a long time. Seen him in a lot of indies, seen him in Impact and all these other places. So now for him to be on this level, I hope he's successful. So I'm in the NWA, so I hope that he's successful. I hope that. And then for Cody, because I have a soft spot for Cody, that story, and again, whenever it is, it's fine. It should be great. But look how he took the world by the tail. The WWE tickets, guys, on the road they were in the mud. They were not selling tickets for live events. Cody comes on, and it's up like 45 to 50%. When they see him, know that he's on the card, that he's around and doing the house shows, then people are coming to see it. So it's around 8,000 to 9,000 people now if they know that Cody's there. So he's making an impact. There's no doubt. So those two in particular would be great.
I mean, for me, I've given up hope, but it's still Sammy. I know he's just
I guess I gave up hope.
Right, but if that were to ever happen, him having that moment, that would be special.
By the way,
he could be this generation's Mick Foley if they ever trusted him. I think he could be this generation's Mick Foley.
By the way, with Chad Gable, I know that's a great story that you'd like to see, Gabe, but apparently that's not going to happen, because if you watch Monday Night Raw, he got squashed like a bug by Bronson Reed. Was that the
big
opponent?
Bronson Reed? You know he's big, so you got to put big in
Bronson
front of it.
Reed.
Yeah,
that's when you know
big.
Yeah,
big Bronson, big Bill.
Yeah,
we're just my eyes don't work really well when I'm watching television, so I got to know that these guys are big.
How else are you supposed to know that's a big man? Jeez.
I mean, so in the
hold on a second.
In the Intercontinental title picture, Great match with Gunther. Next week, squashed in 5 minutes.
By someone that's barely on TV.
So not just competitive match, roll up, whatever, right? No, he got his ass whooped. So again, Vince is back. I said he's Shorty G, damn it.
But that's the frustrating part. Like, you can go through a WWE roster and find some guys and girls say, oh, this would be special Dave Gargano moment, but they're not going to. Like, Sammy's in that boat for me now. Gargano, Xavier Woods, like, those would be special moments, but we're never going to see that stuff.
Guys, when you get a chance, you got to go to ESPN 710 in Los Angeles. Apparently, they've come up with Travis and Sliwa with their all-time wrestlers draft.
Oh,
so they're taking our gimmick here. it's Alan, George Sedano, Travis, and Emily apparently, and they have their all-time wrestlers draft they've done on ESPN LA.
Who went? Do you have the list in front of you? Did you?
Yeah, I got it here.
Who went number one overall? We don't have to go through the whole thing. I just want to know who like the top picks were.
Okay, so Alan takes Hulk Hogan. George Sedano takes Stone Cold. Travis Sliwa takes Andre the Giant at 3. Emily takes The Rock. So who doesn't take The Rock first? Emily wins.
Yeah, like, I mean, again, taking Hulk Hogan first, like, especially now knowing what we know about Hulk.
It's The Rock. I mean, you definitely take The Rock first in that spot, do you not?
Yes, 100%.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, it's Stone Cold or The Rock, and I take The Rock.
Then of course there's a snake draft. So now you go to Emily with the Undertaker at 5. So she goes Rock, Undertaker. Then Travis takes Macho Man Randy Savage. Then Jorge takes Eddie Guerrero. George Sedano takes Eddie Guerrero, and Alan takes Bret the Hitman Hart at 8.
It always worked down here in West Palm. Always a Evan Cohen show special, drafting wrestlers. Got the crowd going.
Eddie at 7.
Eddie going before Shawn Michaels is interesting, but here we are.
Yeah, and Shawn Michaels did not make the list. So please go right ahead, sir. What's next? I mean, seriously. You can't. I mean, this list is. You don't have Shawn Michaels on there. Then what are we doing?
That's fair.
All right.
Do we see a feel good story in WWE? Because you just pointed out, Brian, like the latest one we've had is now in AEW with having the ROH World Championship on Eddie Kingston's shoulder. He's a double champion. Do we have is Cody the closest we get? And
I don't think it is Cody, though.
And by the time we get to it, is it going to be a feel good story anymore, or are we going to be sick of it?
Correct. I think it's going to be that.
There are no more feel good stories in WWE besides Cody, and who knows when he'll win the championship at this point.
Like him winning the title at WrestleMania 45, like, it's not important anymore.
Well, that's correct. Like, I guess what we're talking about ultimately is underdog stories. And Eddie Kingston is an underdog. And so that's why that story was great. He finally, I guess he squashed the beef with Claudio after this match. Like, hopefully this is over now because that was real. Those promos were like UFC promos. Eddie Kingston, boy, his stuff is real. Yep. It comes through the screen like, holy bleep. He's so intense, man. Like, he just like, okay, Eddie, you can dial it down a little bit. No, I'm going to fight this guy. No, MF this guy. No, don't cut me off. Don't cut me off. Oh, God. Okay. All right, pal. Dial it down a little bit. But but now that Vince is back, what's the feel-good story besides Cody?
There isn't. And that's in AEW. You believe in that stuff. Like, Darby being a world champion one day, like, that's possible in that company.
It is.
And, like, that would be a moment. Like, in the women's division, maybe like a Willow winning the women's title one day. Like, that's possible. Like, we don't see that in WWE.
Hell, that match she had with Mercedes was a feel-good moment. And again, that wasn't supposed to happen either.
Right, exactly.
It's like Willow wins. She's like, I guess I'm the champion. What?
Was not prepared for this at the beginning of this match.
God. And it's funny. The three of us, by the way, if it came down to an injury to an opponent, and we're diving right on there and hooking the leg. I'm supposed to lose, but I'm going to win tonight.
That's me. Raise my damn hand.
We would dive right headlong like, he's hurt. Oh, lateral press. It's
There's
the
also a
parlay.
video going around of your boy Knox during the pandemic of Alex Reynolds getting knocked out in a match and Knox just not noticing it as he lays helpless in a corner.
That's not right, because
Yeah.
now you're messing with someone's life there. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't. It's a 3 count, and check on him to make sure that he's okay. Please. This 2. Oh, it must have moved the shoulder. No, he might be knocked out. How about that?
Yeah. How about that?
What do we have at news and notes this week, Brian?
All right, we talked about it earlier. WWE talent releases today. Mustafa Ali, Elias, Emma, Top Dollar, Riddick Moss, Rick Boggs, Aaliyah, Dolph Ziggler, and Shelton Benjamin all wish their best in future endeavors.
All right, Gabe. How many go to AEW? I see 3. What do you see?
All right, so I see 2 for sure with Dolph and Emma. What you think?
You're quite the Emma fan for her to not have done anything twice in WWE.
Well, I mean, I remember, like, again, like Tennille Dashwood, like when the first time she was released, after they did the Emma and Emelina crap, like, and Emelina coming soon, and then like she showed up once and like, ooh, we made a mistake, and then but like the things that she did on the independents after that, like that got her then back into WWE.
ROH Women's Champion right there.
Yeah,
correct.
So Tennille Dashwood, Dolph, what are you saying? Top Dollar with a reunion? Is he a Mogul affiliate?
Shelton,
and someone brought this up on social today. Shelton should be part of the Blackpool Combat Club.
give me a handful of Shelton Benjamin matches in AEW and I'm happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he might be close to 50 and can still go.
Yeah, who cares?
I mean, it's amazing. And a lot of these guys, it'll just be rust. Could you imagine Dolph Ziggler against half that roster in AEW? Like the shorter guys, like these. My God, he'd have classics all over the place.
Agreed. That'd be exciting.
Mustafa Ali, I think, should also be in AEW. If not, definitely maybe an Impact or something like that. But Ali
has Impact written all over him.
Here's the thing that's weird about Vince McMahon, right? There's a lot of things. Mustafa Ali would produce his own promos and those like little vignettes. He produced those himself, and Vince was like, whatever you want to do, pal. Usually Vince has his thumb on everything, but he liked Ali enough to be able to do his own vignettes, but not enough to get over though.
But also the guy wanted out for months and they wouldn't give him his out. Like, no, you gotta stay here. It's like, well, now you can go.
Wow. So crazy, especially when you think that Kofi Mania doesn't happen unless he gets injured.
Yep.
I think that I'm looking at the list. Elias, I don't know where you go there. Here's the thing about Elias, guys. I don't know if he can work or not. Do you guys know? I agree.
But that guy's a good indie paycheck. Like, he shows up with a guitar, he's going to get some money from that.
Yeah.
You don't care if he can work. He can just play the guitar and sing.
Yeah. Like, he gets a pop from an indie crowd, and he'll be fine financially.
That's pretty funny. Okay, so don't worry about it, because I don't know if he can work. I have no idea.
Either.
If Randy Savage and Hercules Hernandez had a baby, it would be Elias. That's what it looks. That's what he looks like to me, body wise and everything else. I just don't know what he can do. I have no idea.
He's going to have to come up with a new catchphrase, because his walk with Elias is no longer going to be, unfortunately for him, relevant.
Rick Boogs didn't work. Just like, poor guy. Just like it just didn't work. Him and then Riddick Moss, by the way. So here's your career, NXT, and then you laugh for a year with as a sidekick, pretty much, as an unfunny sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
We saw this.
More releases, by the way. Mason Mansoor, Dana Brooke didn't make the cut.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, Mason Mansoor again. Dead end situations. Nothing for them. Cut them.
But that's the crazy part. Like, those guys and like that group, and seeing what LA Knight is now, and what's her face? I'm blanking on her name with Alpha Academy. Like, they've turned it into stuff.
Yes.
They both had to leave the gimmick in order to turn it into something legitimate. They had to leave the group. They had to go elsewhere. They had to get Otis involved. She had to get Otis involved. He had to leave the group and become LA Knight. Maxine Dupree, by the way.
There you go. Thank you. Other WWE news, the LA Times, a lengthy feature on Vince McMahon this week. One note is that Vince told the board all allegations of unwanted sexual advances were false and all relationships were consensual. He also says him having to get involved to sell the company is because the company had plateaued.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, of course he's going to deny it. Of course nobody's going to believe it. But the company hadn't plateaued. So he's just, again, everything in there. Like, when's the last time Vince McMahon told the truth?
Good point.
Company hadn't plateaued, right?
No, that's just a lie. And from the reports we got from Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful and other places, for Vince to go in there with a cane, by the way, he's on a cane.
Yes.
To come in there with a cane and said, the company is plateaued, goddammit. And it's like, no, why would you say that in front of your boss, right? Why would you say that? Like, we had to make change because of, no, you're doing just fine. And Triple H and Stephanie and everyone else kept the company afloat. Was it great? Was it horrible? No, but it kept it afloat. The numbers were fine. The pay-per-view numbers are fine. And you're saying that you did it because you want to be rehired. That's why you want to get back in the mix, because you couldn't stand for your son-in-law and your daughter to run the company. You just had to put your fingers on things. That's what it came down to. So for him to say it plateaued is a lie. It did not.
He also reported.
I mean, maybe his retirement plateaued.
For him. Yeah,
it certainly did. That mustache plateaued.
Other WWE contract news, according to Sean Ross Sapp, some big names contracts set to expire in 2024. Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and Becky Lynch all up in 24.
Becky Lynch has an opportunity to set the market here.
Oof.
She has an opportunity as a female wrestler to set the market. Like Mercedes Moné's there, but she's in New Japan, maybe in AEW soon. But Becky Lynch, could you imagine her free agency? This is something we do this in sports all the time, guys, as far as following free agency. 2024, those names, and there's a lot more in 2024. This would be really interesting. It starts with MJF and it starts with, who you just mentioned there. But boy, it's going to be very compelling.
Yep.
Becky Lynch is the one they can least afford to lose.
I would agree. She can go across the street. She can go to AEW and make how much? $2 million a year?
I think whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She goes in there as Rebecca Quinn. She'll be just fine because they know it's the man, Rebecca Quinn. She could be whoever she wants to be. It would be amazing. The women have an opportunity, guys, to really, for the first time, really break the bank.
Yep. And finally, news notes, Cassidy Haynes, a Body Slam, reporting AEW is considering running one more pay-per-view this year. Friday, December 29th is being discussed as a possible date. Full Gear is set for November 18th. Also announced this week, Max will be adding a sports tier. AEW not a part of that just yet.
If it's on the sports tier, yes. You don't need to run a December 29th pay-per-view just to run one and not have your champion wrestle.
Yep.
Not interested.
Did they say the name of the pay-per-view?
No.
Okay. I want you to bookmark this. The name of the pay-per-view is going to be New Year's Evil.
It's also a Friday, by the way.
It's like the reason why it's not that I came up with that. No, I didn't come up with that. That was Eric Bischoff. He tried to do that and tried to do a New Year's Eve thing with Kiss.
Yeah.
And it didn't, I guess it didn't materialize. But don't be surprised if Tony Khan picks up that name, New Year's Evil. And don't forget I said it now because there's so many WCW vibes to this company. It wouldn't surprise me if New Year's Evil is the name of that pay-per-view.
Another chance for MJF to defend the title before free agency.
A December 29th pay-per-view. The old tried and true wrestling people would tell you that, before December 15th, you probably don't want to run a pay-per-view. Now that you're going into the holidays, like no one really cares about wrestling.
Like WWE decided to run day one, right? And like this was going to be a new thing and they're going to do it. They did it once and went, that was a mistake. Didn't need to do that. Should have done it. Let's not do that again.
This will go against football. SmackDown on Friday, by the way.
Oh, God. Against Monday Night Football, against bowl games, we probably shouldn't do a pay-per-view on Jan 1. Probably not, right? This is something else, man. Wrestling's so interesting. So just more pay-per-views. Just more. Okay, so does that come with more story? No. Okay.
I don't know about that.
Has to be on Max. Like if they're going to run more pay-per-views in 2024, they have to have Max. They have to be a part of it.
They say it's not sports, it's entertainment. So do they get on that sports tier? They deserve to be, or will they be just on an entertainment island? I have no idea.
I don't know, but put them in the sports tier. I don't care. Like just get it on Max, so you're not asking people to spend $50 a month. You can't ask your fan base to do that.
Yep.
What did you guys have this week for matches of the week?
God. Okay, I try to keep it down to 3. God almighty.
It's getting hard, man. It gets hard.
All right. Kofi Kingston against Ivar. Better match than I thought it was going to be. Little man, big man match.
Sure.
Ivar is not a surprise. This big guy is like a cruiserweight. We've seen him many times as a tag, but I thought that was a really good match on Monday Night Raw. I liked
same thing with whoever the big guy was in the tag. It wasn't very long, but in Collision, who did FTR face? Like the Iron
the guys that used to be Bear Country.
Yeah. Yes. Now they're Iron something, but I mean that guy. That guy flying off the roof, Iron Savages. Iron Savages. Because that guy flying off the mid ropes was insane.
They're doing 1980s promos. It's kind of a throwback. Like, what is going on with these guys? These guys they seem like out of place in 2023. I guess that might be the gimmick. I don't know. Same show, Starks and Big Bill against Danielson and Claudio on Collision. Eddie and Claudio on Dynamite.
I got Eddie and Claudio as well from last night. I really enjoyed it, especially the ending. I know you guys were down on it. I enjoyed Joe and MJF, and like they hooked me a few times. Like there were a few times I thought Joe was going to win. And then finally, how about just women's wrestling in general on AEW this week? Like I thought Statlander versus Jade was good. Britt versus Statlander on Saturday, and then last night the Saraya and Tony. Like they had a really good women's wrestling week.
So I had Britt and Statlander on mine. But when do we have to have a conversation about Britt never winning anymore?
Yeah. She is sort of in that boat.
She's still the biggest star, I think, in AEW, but she hasn't won anything in a long time. And they keep putting her in these title opportunities. They put her up for the TBS championship, and like you're gonna cool the character down. I know wins and losses don't matter in wrestling, but you're gonna cool it down if, again, especially with the way they decided to do it for Statlander, and it made Statlander look big, but by her kicking out of the combination that she did, using an old finisher that Britt used to use, and then turning the lockjaw on Britt into a pin combination, like that's making Britt and all of her things look not very strong. Like there are ways to do it, and you somehow booked a main event last night that MJF didn't come out looking strong. Like there's a way to come out of everybody looking strong, and they didn't do that for Britt. Certainly Statlander comes out looking strong on Saturday night, but Britt does not. Even though it was a really good match. The match was really good.
I would say that if she's not going to be in the title picture, she should still be strong as a contender. Yes. She should be in a rivalry or two where it's like, wow, you know what? She's going to be the champion again pretty soon. But losing or looking bad, I mean, she gets too much promo time to lose that often. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of my point, I mean, she kind of got put on the back burner because they were feuding with the Outcasts, and now with everything Tony Storm is doing, like you've got Outcast Civil War, so then the AEW originals get pushed to the background, and Britt's kind of got lost in the shuffle. I think they just need to strengthen her back up to make sure that you always have. It's always good to have those contenders that you can just heat up very quickly in the background. And it would take a little bit more work, I think, to heat her up. But I was with you guys. The tag match with Claudio and Danielson to lead off Collision was really, really good, really strong. Again, being on people who never win, Big Bill. I don't know if he's ever won on AEW television. I don't know if I've ever seen it. If he has, I would love for him to win. But he's a big man in AEW, and they don't win. That's just... Maybe he needs... Hey, maybe there's a spot for him in WWE now that Vince McMahon's back in charge, because that guy, the big men they have in AEW are too damn good to make them look as bad as they do week in and week out.
By the way, Collision, a couple matches that we might talk about next week. TNT title triple threat match Saturday night. Christian, Luchasaurus, Darby. Assume that's a way for Christian to get the title. Danielson versus Starks in a Texas death match. So Brian really taking it easy before October 1st. And also Andrade versus Jay White.
Which is going to be good. But, like, can we just go back to Danielson for a second?
Mm-hmm.
I know I sung his praises, and I will continue to sing his praises for what he does backstage and what he has done to help give AEW more creative direction. But for the love of God, you cannot trust this man.
Nope.
Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to lose. Don't lose.
8 days before Zack Sabre Jr.
You just had this great, awesome interview where you're like, yeah, after all these big matches, I keep getting injured, so maybe I have to take it easy. So what do? You come back. You're probably not 100%, even though you say you're cleared. You admit to doing smoke and mirrors in a strap match.
Uh-huh.
Now you're doing a Texas death match? What?
And we'll lose.
Mox is a bad influence. Mox is a bad influence on
Also,
Bryan
Rob Van Dam
Danielson.
in the ring Saturday night from Grand Rapids.
Yes, at the Van Andel Arena, which is a shithole, by the way.
Okay.
I mean, that is the worst. Like I called a game in there, Gabe. Winnie City Bulls against that's Detroit's G League team. I was in that was the arena. I'm like, the only thing I remember about that particular arena in Grand Rapids is it was an 11 a.m. game, and there was a guy was two-fisted with beers at 10:30 a.m. It's like, how you guys doing? But I guess you're doing just fine. Two-fisted with beers already before 11 a.m. We're gonna watch some G League basketball, son. Cheers. All right, sir. Grand Rapids.
Well, sometimes you need 2 beers to get through G League basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's necessary. 11 a.m. seems aggressive, but if that was a college football game, you wouldn't think any differently, right?
That told me all I need to know about Grand Rapids.
Well, hopefully that guy gets to enjoy a Texas death match in Grand Rapids Saturday night.
What a terrible arena that is. But you know what? You had to do that because Rob Van Dam, that's his region, so that should be fun. The people there should love it. Yep.
Whatever happens, it's going to be fun with RVD. I mean, I don't think they're not going to ask him to do anything outrageous. Just hit a couple of his spots, win a squash match, and go on with his day. A little bit of a longer episode, but there's a lot of things going on in the world of professional wrestling, and I guarantee it's not going to be slowing down anytime soon. So the place to hear us talk about all the things happening in the world of professional wrestling, it's right here, Thursdays on G.